Now, before we get into all the stuff that you are doing now, I want to go to the beginning when you first started to, to get the bug for entertainment. Like, was it something that you felt that you wanted to do? Like, you released albums, you've done voice acting, screen acting. So, was this something you always wanted to do, or you think it came later in life, this career trajectory?
I pretty much came out of the womb. Like, wanting to sing and dance with the top hat and everything. Yeah, ever since I was very little, um, I remember, and my mom would, tell me when I was little, I'd have birthday parties and I didn't want entertainment. I was going to put on shows.
Okay.
So I got everyone involved and they had their parts and they would do this and we would do dances and all kinds of things.
No, I
So
love
from the
that.
very beginning, it just, yeah, and it just, I just kept doing it. I just was always drawn to it and writing poems, writing music, everything, drawing,
Yeah.
all of it. Yeah.
I love that. And do you think it's gotten easier for you, or because you've been doing it for a while? I know like the audition process is never a fun part in acting, but do you think you've adjusted to it now at this stage in your career?
I got to tell you, one of the main things that has gotten better is developing that thicker skin.
Hmm.
I think in the very beginning, it's like I would cry after every audition.
Hmm.
I'd cry when and I'd be like devastated and then second guessing myself and
Right.
everything. And, and of course, auditions have changed dramatically since COVID. So now we do those, in our own environment,
Right.
we self tape. Um, but yeah, I think that's one of the main things in the auditioning is like getting that confidence to self tape now, knowing that I know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
trusting myself, trusting my gut instinct is a big thing that
Right.
has happened in my later years. Is going, you know, I have a feeling I should do this and not second guessing it and going,
Right.
yeah, do it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the main things that have changed.
Right. I mean, I love that. I always say go with your first instinct is never
Yeah.
wrong. One thing I really did want to ask you because I'm very curious about voice acting. Like you've done commercials and you've done things where, you're just using your voice and you're not on screen. So do you approach that differently from being on camera acting versus using your voice?
That's a really good question. It is a different animal, isn't it? It's like a
Yeah.
completely, I mean, in a sense, that's what you're doing now. If you had a podcast, if we don't have this
Right.
here and
Mm-hmm.
we like, boop, everybody's gone, it's
Yeah.
just your voice, right? It's very interesting how similar and different they are. Um, One of the things that I had to learn because I did in my mind when I first started doing voice, I was kind of thrown into it
Okay.
um, because I didn't know anything about it. And I'd had an agent and I was doing commercials. And then the voiceover, yeah, I got kind of thrown into it and I tried it. And at first I was like, I don't understand this animal. It's so different. But now I've learned it's the same. The similarities is in the acting. You're still figuring out like let's say animation, you're
Mm-hmm.
still figuring out who the character is, you're still trying to figure out what their motivation is, you're still trying to explore, and creating this person. I do a character named Zobi on the internet, and
Okay.
it's Zobi's Adventures and it's for children, and I do a certain voice. He's a 5-year-old alien boy. So it's like even when I'm in the booth, I'm having to. I feel myself like expressing and even doing more,
Mm-hmm.
than to get the feeling out because it is only coming through your voice,
Right.
right? The difference being in is handling the microphone. You don't have, you do if you have an engineer, that's great. That's checking your sound. It's for you not to go get too loud or
Yeah.
to stay within the spectrum of what voiceover should be. um and yeah, having somebody and also being you're more conscious of anything going on with your mouth.
Mm.
Like if you're like slurring, or if your mouth is dry, or if anything like
Yeah.
that's happening, that's a
Yes.
big issue. Whereas
Hmm.
on camera, it's not so much.
Right. I mean,
So
I have so many follow-up questions
let's
with
go
that
for it.
because one, how do you handle sick days? Recently, I was coming over a cold and my voice changed. Like I could clearly see that it changed, and I tried to like, okay, let me just clear my throat, drink some water, drink some tea, and maybe I can fake sounding how I usually sound, and it just was not working. So I couldn't record until my voice was back to normal. So was that something that, can you have sick days as a voice actor, or do you kind of, if you can pretend to do other voices, can you pretend to do your regular voice?
So let me ask you, did you get the sexy smoker voice?
I kind of do. I kind of
You got
do. It,
that.
it really gets really deep and raspy. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Friends, but it was like very that
Yes.
episode of Phoebe when she was sick and she loved to sing like in that deep, smoky voice. Like, it was very much, it always goes very, very deep and very raspy. And I'm like, this is not how I usually sound.
But it's a cool voice. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, I'm always, when I get to that point, I'm always like, oh man, where are the sexy voiceovers? I could so nail them right now, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I do have my things that I do when I get sick, because that is a thing. Allergies, all of that happening. I have a regimen that I do if I have a voiceover like the next day, the night before. I'll try to get rest because that's very important. Drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, just to get the pipes, like really smooth and going. I do throat coat. Have you ever heard of that throat
I
coat?
have. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that stuff's like a miracle to me. Well,
Okay.
they now make throat coat lozenges.
I will have
So,
to look into that.
oh, get them. They're
Yes.
amazing. I
Okay.
feel like I have it and it just clears my throat. I'll do the hot tea with lemon,
Hmm.
honey, just trying to coat my throat. And then I'll use like either I'm not really I've never really tried like the Afrin. Some people will do like the ones that will, because a lot of it's coming from here, that
Right.
nasally,
Hmm.
so to try to clear that out. But I have noticed that for me, this is really bizarre, but I did notice it. Like if I get a cold rag or put it in my, or splash cold water, it opens up my sinuses.
Mm. Okay. And I always thought it
For
was hot.
me,
Okay. I always thought it was like steam it out, but okay, I'll try the cold.
I've done the steam and then I've done the cold, and I'm like, the cold for like a fast, I've done it. It may not work for everyone, but for
Yeah.
some reason it works for me. And then there was one time, uh, I was a spokeswoman for this company, and I got so sick my voice just went.
Mm.
I could not. That's terrifying. Let me tell you. I
Yeah.
like it just was gone. Could not speak. Nothing. Nothing was coming out. And at that point, it was like, yeah, this isn't happening.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not
yeah, it's
gonna.
just like when you need that vehicle, like I need my voice to perform. So when that goes, it's like, what do you do? But you did mention about when you are doing voice acting, uh, the way that you speak is important, enunciating, trying to avoid slurs. And since I edit a lot of my stuff, I know what I want to say, but sometimes when it comes out, I slur a lot and I don't even think I mean to. So I guess my question for you is, do you have any tips that you use that have worked to kind of practice or perfect your diction when you're doing voice work?
Yeah. So a lot of the theater tricks work. The ones where you have she sells seashells by the seashore and doing your little like little the rolling the tongue. And I do a lot of facial exercises to loosen up everything, you know, and to get that. I'm like, what is this going to look like? I can just saw myself. Oh my God. Yeah. So don't take that out of context. I don't
Yes.
know. But like, but, but I do a lot of the warm ups, and even in singing I'll do some, like do a lot of that to get the voice warmed up, and the face, because your face muscles are very important, your tongue, everything, which is also why I'm very careful. I have a gluten allergy,
Mm,
and so when that happens, I call it my thick tongue. my tongue will just kind of thick.
Right.
And so I'm very careful about all of that before I do a voiceover. Make sure I don't accidentally ingest anything I'm allergic to, or to try to yeah, just keep that regimen going. And it's worked for me so far. But for I think the exercises in the theater, that and also if I mean, I don't a lot of times I'll get the I call it the lazy tongue, and that's when I slur. Like it's sometimes for me, it's because I'm tired
Mm,
and I just haven't gotten rest. And so I'm just like, it's the energy,
mm.
because it takes a lot of energy to really do that,
Yeah.
and to be precise, it's
And
a lot
even
of
to just like to
energy.
sound like you're interested. Like you can eat, like you said, when you're tired, it can sound like I don't care, but I do care about what I'm talking about. It's just I try to, gotta pep yourself up. So those are excellent tips that I will definitely implement moving forward. So currently one of your most recent works, you were a recurring role on Your Friends and Neighbors
Mm.
on Apple TV Plus. It's been renewed for a second season, has been getting so much high praise. So how did that role come across your desk?
Um, I was very fortunate that it did. My agent, you know, sent it to me, and it was very like it was like one page. So I didn't get your normal like the page before, the page after. I didn't have any idea what was happening. I just had that, my lines and the description of what was going on. And so yeah, it came across. I was very, blessed that I got that audition. And yeah, the rest is history. I booked it, and I did know that it was recurring, which was really exciting.
Okay.
Um, and then, yeah,
Excellent.
so
And
that was
how was
second
that
season.
how was that set experience working alongside Jon Hamm? Like, did you pick up any tips from him?
Well, yeah, it's, when you're working with people of such high caliber, that this is their, and that's the thing too, in acting and even in voiceover, just doing it every day is
Hmm.
like so important. So you're working with actors. Jon Hamm, wow. Okay, I was telling somebody, does he have to really do anything? He can just show up. He's such an interesting human,
Mm,
right? um I think that learning to trust yourself and knowing that you're enough, and
mm,
seeing, actors that this is their every, like they're on set all the time.
mm.
you know it's that trusting, knowing it's work, it's a job. Do
Yeah.
your job, do the investigative work, do, know your lines, obviously, and being a professional on set, like being a professional, respecting others, respecting also your acting partners, whoever's in a scene with you,
Right.
knowing that, this isn't just about you. You're a part of this bigger story,
Right.
right? So and your part is helping to move that story along. So how do you're working with others, and sometimes you're doing scenes where you, I always go back to like Shadows, when I was in Shadows, having to all of a sudden have a relationship with somebody that you've never met before,
Mm, yeah.
you know, being thrown in. And all of a sudden it's like you're thrown in. You may have never met this person, but now you instantly have this rapport that you've known each other for a really long time,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, those are important things that as I work with, you know, actors that work more often, that are known, that are popular, that are is seeing how they it's such an ease for them.
Yeah.
It feels like such an ease. I mean, I don't ask them, hey, are you nervous? You know, but 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 for me, yeah, that's what I see, is just that this is our job. Yes, we love our job.
Hmm.
Come in and do it and be a professional.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So to just kind of segue a little bit, if you're comfortable talking about your Bell palsy recovery, um, that is just something that's kind of would throw off your whole career and it can be devastating. So how do you think, overcoming that, recovering from that has reshaped the way you approach your career moving forward?
Yeah, it definitely was a big turning point for me because I had it all figured out. I knew what was going to happen to my life.
Hmm.
We all have our like, this is my manifestation of what's going to
Yep.
happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, oops, didn't see that
Mm,
coming. Um, it was scary. It was scary. It came on suddenly.
mm,
It was just like, and it just continued to progress and progress. I thought I had I mean, my first thought was brain tumor. I have a brain
mm,
tumor. And then my husband was like, she's having a stroke. Um, but all that made me like, I had to stop everything. I had jobs lined up that I had
mm,
to cancel. Um, and it made me be very quiet. Like it made me really just stop
yeah,
everything. Any thoughts or processes, just I was just still. I didn't know.
yeah.
I didn't know how long it would last. I'd heard some people don't recover. Some people take longer. Um, so after the initial shock, and I started a journal too. I videotaped myself,
Mm,
just journaling the process because I found it fascinating. I was like, I was still thinking like scientifically, like this is weird.
yeah,
How does this happen? Right?
right.
This is my body's doing its own thing. I have no control over it. Um, and I was like, okay, I can't do voiceover. I can't be on screen, but I have my music
Mm,
and I have my writing. So it shifted everything towards that. And I was grateful that I had my voice. I could still sing. It
right.
didn't affect my vocal cords. It didn't affect, and even in singing, singing is so different when you're singing and with notes that it wasn't as pronounced. You don't have to be so exact in the words.
Yeah,
So my whole career took a shift more towards that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just grateful that I can still create and I can write. I can still write music, you know.
yeah.
But that took a turn, and then slowly as I started recuperating and started talk about losing confidence, I didn't know what my face was doing. So in doing auditions, it was like terrifying because I didn't have full control. And so there was one casting director that was wonderful to me. And she said, look, I can't even tell. You're
Mhm.
doing great. And it was like feeling that, people cheering me on and like, you can do this. It's okay. Just take the first step. And so then I started slowly getting back into the acting. But music always just soothes my soul.
Mm,
It's just so to sing, I feel like I get transported into this other world where it's
mhm.
just I just feel so connected with everything and everyone and like with God and just, I just feel peaceful.
Right.
Feel peaceful.
Well, I'm so glad that you had that. Like you said, music, I think, is very therapeutic. It's
Mhm.
transformative. It can take you back to a good time, sad time. So I'm glad that you had music to get to push you through. And thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you
Absolutely.
sharing that with me. But one more thing, congrats are in order. You have a day celebrated for you in your hometown coming up. How did that come about? Like, were you aware of it beforehand? Was it kind of a surprise to you? Like, what was that process of getting a day named after you in your hometown?
It it was a surprise. Yeah, when I got notified. I didn't even know they did that. I was like, what? It's like, it's such a beautiful thing that they do for people in the city of Austin to celebrate, people that are making a difference or just
Hmm.
that are contributing something beautiful to Austin music,
Right.
and other, it's not just music they do for other things. And, but I was shocked, surprised, same thing. My therapist would go, that's the same feeling.
You're
but
just you're just emphasizing it, how shocked you are.
I found out that there's actually like a wheel of feelings, and you can buy like a pillow that has it. So
Oh,
if like you
wow.
can't figure out the feeling, you're like, this is the feeling. But
Oh, okay.
sidebar. But yeah, I was so honored, and it was such a beautiful. They did this whole, ceremony where they this everybody, they filled up the. It was filled with people. Raul Alvarez was there, a council member. He presented it to me. That the city council was there. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, I can
It was
imagine.
so beautiful.
Yeah, it's like your
Yeah.
city, that's like the official nod that your city has your back. Like throughout
Yeah.
anything, it's just like we recognize you, we love you, we support you. And you want that hometown feeling, you know?
Absolutely, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like to have somebody like have your back, like the whole city have your back and be like, you're doing good, keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Love that.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So, Myrna, before I let you go, do you have any upcoming projects that you can talk about that you can tease? Any social media that you want to plug so people can keep up with what you're doing?
Sure. Instagram, it's my last name's first, Cabello, Cabello dot Myrna, Myrna.
Okay.
And right now, well, I just finished a movie in that I filmed in Jersey. I can't talk about it,
Of
but it's going
course.
to be good. But I can say that I am playing a character that is so not like me,
Okay.
very different, to
Okay.
the point where hair and makeup, when they met me, were like, how are we doing this? How are we going to transform you into this? You
Mm,
know?
yeah.
And yeah, so it was, and they were wonderful. So that's, movies take a while. They haven't said it. They're still filming. So anywhere from a year, like
Mm-hmm.
could be the fall. And I'm sure they time it all with PR and everything,
Right.
and the Oscars. Wouldn't that be cool? But I'm getting ready to record with my husband to go in the studio and start recording again. So
Awesome.
yeah, I have this idea. I have some songs. I was thinking about doing this album about, love songs, but love being approached from the good, the bad, the ugly, like songs from different perspectives
I love that.
of relationships
I love that.
and where a relationship is.
Well, hopefully when the movie comes out, we'll get to chat again. When
Yeah.
the album comes out, maybe we can talk again about that. I appreciated your time so much, and it was such a joy to talk to you today.
It was amazing talking to you. Thank you so much. And I'm here if you need me. Any voiceover tips, let me know.
Oh, Marty, don't play. I'm gonna be hitting you up.
I don't mind. I really love to help. I get so excited about voiceover and about the acting that I love to help when I can. So yeah,
Awesome. All right. Well,
yeah.
thank you again, and you enjoy the rest of
Thank
your day.
you. Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.